Hello, my name is Kevin Collins. I'm currently working on my LDS 1 Master's in Special Education. I currently work as a DSP at Misericordia Home, which is a residential facility for adults with intellectual disabilities and children. I work direct care with residents with severe to profound intellectual disabilities, and so most of the residents I work with are working on the intellectual abilities of like a 2 to 3 year old, as most of their plans say. And this next year, I'm going to be transitioning into being a paraprofessional in the school system. I'm actually going to be temporarily moving to Minnesota to live with my in-laws, my wife's parents, as my wife is currently pregnant with twins, and we got to figure out what to do with that. So I'm in that kind of transition. But I want to work in special education because my experience specifically with my church as the volunteer children's director, I've had a lot of chances to work with children with various needs. And I just love seeing them succeed and figure things out for the first time. I know a lot of children with disabilities are often overlooked and told they can't a lot, and I know a lot of kids that just believe they can't because they fail a lot of times and people just put them down. But I love just being able to encourage them to say, like, you can do this, and like you are able to do this, and just seeing them succeed because when they are able to just be encouraged or just feel better about it, because someone believes in them and pushes them and challenges them. And so I would love to be able to do that for children, and that's why I'm pursuing better education, so I can do that better. So with that, the model that I believe is the most effective, or I just think the most useful, is actually the ecological model. And while, yes, the positive behavior supports does a good job of incorporating kind of the best pieces of all the models, from behaviorism to ecological to developmental, I think the ecological model is a really strong points that I really agree with. According to Behavior Management, our textbook by Wu and Ritchie, published in 2014, one of the key points of the ecological model is that we are not just individuals, we're not just here in our own little personal bubble. These kids aren't in the bubbles, but they're part of an ecosystem, basically, an environment based with their families, their friends, their family, like grandparents, parents, their families, friends. They're in their neighborhoods, they're in these city blocks, they're in Chicago, they're in Illinois that's being affected by a budget crisis. They have all these factors that come in and form who they are and why they act the way they do and what they do. And we can't just look at a child and ignore all that when we're trying to help them and figure that out. We have to know who they are and why they act the way they do. And that goes into behavior, goes into how they think, how they learn, and to understand we have to do that. So we have to look into all these factors. We have to look into who their friends are and how they interact with them, and that affects how we teach. This has seen a lot of different models. One study that's done that really looks into this is the Iris Center, one of their modules about classroom diversity that was published in 2012, titled Classroom Diversity, talks about this, and specifically with it has a section on socioeconomic factors. So for people who have lower income families, and just the effects that those have. These kids are often have a lot more responsibility at home, so they're a lot more tired in the classroom. And so when your kids are coming and are stressed and cranky, is it just because they don't like you? Is it because they don't want to learn? Or is it because they've already had to cook breakfast for their siblings, they had to make sure their siblings are dressed, they had to make sure their siblings got to school, and now by 8 a.m. they're tired, 8 or 9 a.m. they're tired, they're exhausted, they've been working all morning, like you have, but they're much younger and they're not ready for that yet, many times. And so they need to be treated differently, they need to be given that time to just relax. And you gotta figure out how to do that in your classroom and what best fits to work with them. Also things like them not getting enough food. We have to look, if a child's not eating, they're not gonna be able to learn. They're not gonna be able to focus on education, they're gonna be distracted. And so we gotta work on connecting them with different services, like a reduced lunch or free lunch program or a breakfast program that's gonna help them get that nutrients and be able to learn and engage, and you build that relationship with them. Also, just knowing the families know, what language is spoken at home. If their primary language is in English, of course they probably will struggle a little bit with reading in the classroom. Or if they just had a parent die or a grandparent die, how they interact with you in the classroom is going to be different because they're hurting, they're grieving, and they don't know how to react to that oftentimes. And so that's going to play a negative factor in their education. And so just knowing that, it makes them not just this individual child that's just acting out, but a child that's having a reaction to something that's in the PBS, Positive Behavior Sports, and is part of the ecological model is like triggers, and like, why is a child acting out? Why are they doing it? There's triggers, there's reasons behind what they're doing. And it's just learning what those reasons are and how to work with them completely changes how you work with kids. That's why I think the ecological model is a key model. Thank you.